We currently have an area schedule, but honestly, it's kind of hard to read. If we look at the information, we can see that all the services areas are separated from one another, all the instruction areas are separated, and even though we're getting the square footage for each one of these, it's not giving us the total square footage for any of it really anywhere. So what we need to do now is format this a little bit differently so that it just reads a lot easier. And to do this, when you're inside of this area schedule, underneath properties, you first need to select on where it has the word filter, and then there's a big edit button. And for each of these that we're going to do from here on out, we'll be selecting on the edit buttons underneath here in properties. So select on edit next to the word filter. And from here, we can see that it has information that says filter by, and it currently says none. Actually, in this case, this is probably the best thing for us. Where filter comes in is that if you select on the word none, you can see that you can filter this by the name or the area. If we were going to be doing this in an area schedule, we'd probably be filtering it by the name. Why we would do that would be so that we would only see that information related to services, or only see that information related to administration. So by using the filter tab and filters, what you can do is you can specify, I only want to see objects that have certain properties associated with them, such as a certain department's name. In this case, though, I don't really want to filter out anything, so I'm going to leave this as being none. The next tab is called sorting and grouping. This is one that I want to change, and I want to change this to be named so that at least they're going to be in some sort of alphabetical order. Everything that's going to be of the same name will be right next to one another. So that we can see this, let's click on OK. And now we can see that all the circulation and instruction and service, they're all right next to each other. It's still not adding up everything, but at least it's all next to each other, so it's a little bit easier to read and find the information that we're looking for. Let's clear this up a little bit more. Underneath properties, selecting on the edit button next to sorting and grouping. And the next thing I like to do is come down to the bottom of the list, add a grand totals category. What this will do is it'll give us some grand totals as far as the total square footage. The button right underneath grand totals is a check mark here that says itemize every instance. I don't really want that. With this being checked, that's the reason why we're seeing each of the administrations, each of the circulations, each of the instructions. With it cleared out, it'll try to combine them all into one so that it'll just say administration, circulation, instruction, and service. Let's move over here to the formatting tab. Now, I'm not going to actually change really any of the formatting under here, but there is one piece of information that does need to get adjusted. And that is if you highlight on the word area, there's a box here for calculate totals, and we need to put a check in there. What calculating totals will do is it tells Revit to do math. In the sorting and grouping tab, we told it to display the title, count, and totals, but we never told it where to do the math for. So in other words, which category do we want to add up to create totals? Underneath formatting, when we highlighted on area, we've now told it with calculate totals that it's the area that we want to calculate the totals for. Now this should be good enough, so I'm going to click on the OK button. And now we can see that we have only 4 different categories or 4 different kinds of areas. We can see the total square footage for each. We can see the grand total number of them, as well as the total gross building square footage related to all those different area objects that have been placed in the area plan views.